The desert winds howled like spirits lost to time, kicking up dust in the ancient kingdom of Arameth. On the highest balcony of the royal palace, Prince Oren, the only son of King Talon, stood watching the horizon, his heart restless, his gaze distant. At 19, Oren had everything: a kingdom waiting, scholars and swordsmen at his feet, and the finest luxuries wealth could summon. But unlike most heirs, he often slipped away from royal banquets to walk among commoners, listening more than he spoke. Something in their eyes, hope and hardship braided together, called to him more than any jeweled crown. One day, King Talon summoned him. "My son," the king said, his voice heavy, "you are to begin your year of journey, visiting allied kingdoms, learning their ways. You will return wiser, prepared to rule." Oren bowed, though his heart tugged in a different direction. That night, he packed not silks and gold, but plain robes and worn boots. Leaving behind the royal guard, he slipped out at dawn, disguised as a traveler. Not east, toward the allied kings, but west, toward the forgotten edges of the kingdom where no prince had ever set foot. For months, Oren wandered through parched villages and dying farms. He saw children drinking from muddy puddles and mothers skipping meals for their sons. In one village, a boy gave Oren his last piece of bread, smiling as if he'd won a feast. When Oren offered him gold in return, the boy shook his head. "My father says kindness is the only coin that multiplies when spent." Those words haunted Oren. In another town, Oren met Mira, a blind healer who treated the sick with herbs she grew in a crumbling garden. She taught him that medicine wasn't only in potions, but in presence, in listening, in holding a hand during a fevered night. He stayed for weeks, helping her rebuild her hut, fetching water, learning not as a prince, but as a man. Then came winter. The river near Myra's village froze early. Food grew scarce. Oren saw famine tighten its grip like a vice. One night, a merchant caravan passed through, their carts full of grain bound for a royal outpost. Oren recognized the seal. It was from Arameth, his father's stores. He stepped before the caravan, demanded the grain be left for the village. The captain laughed. "Who are you to command a king's caravan?" With quiet resolve, Oren drew a medallion from beneath his robes, a small, golden crest only the king's son could carry. The soldiers froze. He looked them in the eyes. "I am a son of Arameth. I have seen its pain. If we hoard this grain, we rule an empty land. Feed them." The captain, stunned, obeyed. Word spread like wildfire of a prince who walked barefoot, who sat with beggars, who turned royal grain into bread for the poor. When Oren finally returned to the palace a year later, he was thinner, sunburned, and bore calluses on his once soft hands. The court gasped. The king rose, startled. "You defied my command," the king said. "Why?" Oren knelt, not in shame, but in love. "Because I needed to know the weight of a hungry man's stare. Because a ruler must feel the cold if he is to build warmth. I went to find wisdom. I found it not in gold or alliances, but in the hands of a blind woman and the gift of a starving boy." The king was silent. Then slowly, he descended from his throne, knelt before his son, and embraced him. Years later, when King Oren ruled, he was known as the Listening King. He built granaries in every village, funded schools in forgotten towns, and walked through his kingdom not as a god, but as a man. And when asked what made him wise, he would always say, "Kindness is the only coin that multiplies when spent."